Hello and welcome to episode 30 of the Story Not Forgotten podcast. We are brought to you by Capturing Legacies, because everyone has a story to tell and it's time to tell yours. Visit capturinglegacies.com to get started. My name is Liam Rathgaber, partner and anthologist with Capturing Legacies, as well as your host. And this episode, you may not have noticed if you're listening on iTunes or on Google Play, but this is a video episode. We are being brought to you in fantastical moving pictures. So head over to YouTube and check us out there. We are coming to you from the Calgary Comic and Entertainment Expo. We're going to go around and get some convention stories from some of the vendors, some of the artists, some of the booths. So let's get to it. Convention would be complete without a large contingent of Star Wars fans, and there are no bigger Star Wars fans than the troopers of the 501st Legion. Joining us is James Dalton. You might remember him from the episode The Creator, very early in our run. If you haven't listened to that one, go back and listen. It's a great episode. James, thanks for joining us again.
Thanks for having me on again.
Well, we are getting favorite convention stories. You've been to pretty much all of them, so why don't you share one?
Well, I'll actually go back to my first convention with the 501st Legion. I'm brand new on this. This is one of my first times I'm actually out and about in my Stormtrooper armor, and we're leading the parade to start with. Lots of guests, and we're walking everybody into Olympic Plaza. So one of the things we were doing was we were posing as the honor guard for the mayor and the guests, and I'm just standing there. I'm trying to look as intimidating as I can, going, what do I do next? And suddenly I feel this arm around me. Just guys pulling me in. I'm like, oh, good, it's one of those guys. And I glance out, and all of a sudden, the camera's there for a selfie. I'm like, okay, I can do this. Then I see the other face in the selfie. It's John freaking Barrowman. He's taking a selfie with me, not the other way around. He wants a picture with me. I'm suddenly like, I have no idea what I'm going to do. I can't stop grinning.
John Barrowman is one of the all-time great Expo guests. He always makes sure that it's an amazing experience for every attendee that comes through, for every person at every booth, for everyone working here. He is just absolutely fantastic all around. So he's come and visited you a few times, hasn't he?
Oh, well, that's actually true. A couple of years ago, it's not quite a Star Wars fan, but I built a Dalek, as we discussed in the last podcast.
Dudley.
Yeah, Dudley was out about, and we were at the booth, and I was getting some pictures with him. Yeah, the 501st booth. We'll just, we mix genres. And John Barrowman was out and about. Now, this guy is a lot of things, and a giant geek happens to be one of them. He sees the Dalek, and he's like, I'm not going to use the word here, points to it. He comes over and he starts talking to me about it. He's like, oh my God, can you take this thing over? I want to look inside of it. And he's excited to see something a guy made in his garage. And I'm like, sure. And he's like, oh, if you can. I'm like, no, I'll open it up. And he's like, dude, for you, I'll take a claw hammer to it if you ask me nicely. But I opened it up and he was just he chatted me up and he's like, this thing is incredible. You did a great job. And I'm like, okay. He's a nice guy. He was actually interested in the stuff I made. And there's some people who are on, and you can tell that they're on. John Barrowman is probably one of the most genuine people I've ever met.
He's a fan.
Yeah.
He's truly a fan, and I can speak, adding to that story, I was working with him the next day, and when he came into my booth, he said, oh, you've got to see this amazing thing that I found, and showed me a picture of James's Dalek. So, I mean, he's a great guy. If you're watching this, come on the show.
Well, you know he's watching it.
Oh, of course.
Yeah.
Well, thanks a lot.
Thank you very much. I'd have to shake your hand, but
then you have to put down your lid. So, James Dalton, 501st Legion.
all right. Thank you for having me on again.
We are here with Sean Trainer, who is another member of the 501st, as well as several other Star Wars groups. Maybe you could tell us a bit about those first.
Yeah, I'm also a member of the Rebel Legion Outrider Base. I'm commanding officer for Outrider Base.
So 501st are the bad guys, Rebel Legion are the good guys.
Yeah, and then the third side of that coin is the Mandalorian Mercs. So think of like Boba Fett and Jango Fett. So we're our own characters using that kind of armor template, that kind of culture.
So good or bad, depending on who's paying better at the time.
Pretty much.
Perfect. And you've got a favorite convention story to share?
Yeah, I do.
Oh, please go right ahead.
So this one is a story relating to the Mandalorian Mercs. It was from several years ago here at Calgary Expo when Katie Sackhoff was a guest here. And she played a character in the Clone Wars called Bo-Katan. And we, the Mandalorian Mercs, we inducted her as an honorary member at the convention. We presented her with a Bo-Katan helmet and a plaque for her honorary membership.
Excellent. So it's good to see that the stars that you were fans of are fans back.
Oh, yeah.
You hear that a lot of people come into the 501st from the movies and being really into it.
So many of the celebrities here and stuff, they're great with us. You know, they love coming over here. Earlier today, Anthony Daniels came over and took a picture with us in the photo booth. Always, you know, when we have Star Wars guests, they want to hang out with us, or they want to at least come visit us and say hi and show their appreciation back in recognition of us appreciating their work, I guess.
Well, that's always wonderful to hear. Thank you so much for sharing your story.
You got it.
I'm here with Crystal Berry of Dark Age Creations. They specialize in medieval swords, weaponry, armor, sword fighting classes. Basically, any way to be dangerous with something sharp in your hand, but safely. As safely as possible.
Absolutely. That's what we try and focus on.
And it's a company that's near and dear to my heart. I used to train with the owners. It may have cost me a finger, but it was a good fight.
A finger is the last thing, you know.
Well, and it's a pinky. How much do you really use it?
Exactly.
You have a favorite convention story to share with us, so please go right ahead.
I sure do. So we normally set up a big booth like this around the country doing conventions. And this one time we actually had a group of furries come by our booth asking to hold some swords. And we was like, yeah, absolutely.
Now, for any of our viewers, listeners that don't know, furries?
Essentially people who dress up as animals in faux fur costumes, essentially from head to toe. Some of them can be very elaborate and pretty awesome. Some of them can be pretty simple, like just a head and maybe some mitts on them. Yep.
So picturing that swinging swords around.
Absolutely.
That's just the sort of picture that makes you happy.
Totally. So yeah, we brought them in and they started sword fighting and stuff. And then we had another group of the blow-up dinos, I think is what they are.
Yeah, the
like
inflatable T-Rex costumes.
Yes, exactly.
Those have made the world a better place.
They sure have. And there's like, oh my goodness, we need to do a duel with these furries. So we actually had them all come into our booth and they were sword fighting in our booth. So furries versus the T-Rexes. And it was amazing. It was absolutely hilarious. And then at the end of it, what we did was the T-Rexes won. So we got a picture of all the furries on the ground as slain animals, and the T-Rexes just like swords at the throat. And it was so awesome. It was pretty epic.
That's the sort of thing that we come across in these places.
Absolutely.
Why don't you tell our viewers a little bit more about Dark Age Creations?
Well, Dark Age Creations, we focus on the historically accurate swords and armor and other items of medieval times. So everything from Viking culture to Celtic culture, time periods going back like 500 BC all the way up to about the 1500s, the Crusades, full armor packages. We sell a bunch of steel armor. All of our swords are meant to actually be used. They're all high carbon steel. We have archery equipment, so including arrows and bows, quivers. We also do sword fighting lessons at our shop. So everything again from Viking combat, so using the round shields with their swords, their axes, and Scramus axes, so they're smaller knives. We also do dagger combat, long sword combat, Montante, which is a sword about as tall as I am.
That's what I used to use.
Yes, they're absolutely amazing. So much fun to swing around. All the momentum behind those. And a lot of chainmail items. And then we also forge, hand-forge knives at our shop as well. We got into doing that not too long ago, and it's been amazing.
Well, thank you so much for sharing with us.
Absolutely.
We'll make sure to make it down to the store and get a standalone episode with you in the near future.
That sounds perfect.
All right, thanks a lot. Crystal
Thank
Berry
you.
from Dark Age Creations. We're here with one of the amazing crafters at Calgary Expo, Elana Carr from Geek, Chic Creations, who made these amazing dragon eggs out of thumbtacks, which blows my mind. You have a favorite convention story you'd like to share?
Actually, yeah, a few. So probably one of my favorites is the reactions of people. So one of the first years we did, we were actually in Artist Alley with one tiny little 6-foot table, and I only had 10 dragon eggs. Where I started off with, this simple Pinterest one where like painting the nail polish. And I hear this screaming down the way, and then these girls just coming like running up with their hands like in the air. Oh my God, like squealing, it's dragon eggs, these are the most beautiful things we've ever seen. And then all the jewelry and like shinies and losing their mind. And I have to say that's what probably hooked me the most on doing the cons is the reactions, because it's just, I'm very hyper sometimes, so I'm like, it's like my spirit animals coming towards me. But that was kind of started this crazy fad of me like, hey, people actually like this. I said, how can I make this better? How can I make it faster? How can I make it different? So then it started on all like, hey, what kind of paints can I play with? What kind of textures? And then people were like, I want this kind. I'm like, okay, how can I make it happen? And it's just evolved into, this is me now. I am the dragon lady. So now anything dragon I try and do.
Well, and you're doing beautiful work.
Thank you.
Where can people find you?
So we're located at the Calgary Expo this weekend at booth 1345. I am located in Calgary. I don't have a store, unfortunately, but I am online. You can go to geekchiccreations.com and find me there. I do have contact information. We do orders. Otherwise, we will be at the Edmonton Expo. We do the Holiday Expo. We're trying a Pentacon this year in Penticton. So we're always trying to expand and doing other shows, but mostly we're located in Calgary, but I can ship, so it's pretty awesome. We can give anybody they want, really.
That's amazing. Well, thank you so much for sharing a story.
Thank you.
I absolutely love steampunk. It is my favorite genre. Many years ago, my first time doing Calgary Expo, I had the privilege of co-hosting a panel called Steampunk Anything about making steampunk props and costumes and things like that. And luckily, I had Mel Wartenberg there to lend some credibility to the panel, because as you can see, she makes some of the most amazing steampunk gear you're ever going to see. Mel, thanks so much for joining the show.
Thank you for being here.
Lovely to see you again.
And likewise.
You have a favorite convention memory?
So I've had the privilege of being a full-time artist and vending at the Calgary Comic and Entertainment Expo for almost a decade. I have a lot of fond memories of being at this show. But there is one story in particular that stands out, and my fans, I'm sure, are going to agree with me when I bring up this story. Are you ready for it?
I hope so.
Are you ready for it? I'm hoping you all are. Camera person is even excited for this too. So one of the pleasures of being a full-time steampunk artist, Aggregators has attracted a number of celebrity guests. And the most noted celebrity guest that we've had to date is Aquaman, Game of Thrones, Jason Momoa himself. 2014.
Huge fan.
Oh, super huge fan. He was an absolute delight to shop with. He comes up walking up to the table. He's wearing a bowler hat and a vest. He looked like he had a bit of a long day, but he shows up. He picks up the tiniest pocket watch and the daintiest monocle I have made at that year. It was 2014. Memory serves me right? 2014? I'm going to say 2014.
I think 2016 last time he was here, but we can edit that out.
Sure, done deal.
That's what editing's for.
Yay, editing! Jason Momoa, he steps up to the table, he picks up the monocle, he picks up the pocket watch. And it's the smallest ones that we have in stock that year, of course. So this giant lumbering man, over 6 feet tall, he's Aquaman.
He is made of muscles.
Made of muscles. Tiny little man. He picks up this tiny, tiny little monocle and he goes, "This is steampunk, right?" And I go, "Yes, it is." And at this moment, I actually didn't know who he was. It took my amazing booth assistant to point out, I think that's Jason Momoa. So here's me, I'm talking to this giant bulk of a man. He's over 6 feet tall. And I'm like, "Yeah, it's cool. I really like steampunk. Do you really like steampunk?" And he's like, "Yeah, I do. My girlfriend really likes it." And so he bought a pocket watch and a monocle and a couple of other assortment things that we had made. And he was really happy with it. The fun fact about how Jason Momoa came to the booth was one of my fans, a longtime customer. He bought a purple monocle. He shows up to my booth, bought a monocle. Yeah, one of these right here.
They're
he goes
awesome.
Well, thank you very much.
I love mine. Well, I got the glasses, but I love mine.
Hey, sunglasses are cool too. But maybe I'm biased because, I make them, so hey, it's cool. But Jason Momoa, he's at his autograph signing table, and after my customer had purchased his monocle, Jason looks up, sees monocle guy, and he's like, "Dude, where'd you get your monocle?" Fan customer pops up, "Oh, I got it from Aggregators. Mel makes them." And he's like, "Show me to the booth. Take me to the booth." So after he'd finished signing for the day, what does he do? He has like 6 of the Expo committee security guards come over as a herd of these guys in black suits. This lumbering giant of a man walks up and starts shopping, and I'm like, "Cool. I don't know who you are, but cool." And
He seemed important.
He seemed important. Learned he was Jason Momoa himself, and he was so impressed with the monocle he saw. He bought a monocle for himself, one for his girlfriend, and a couple of other things that I mentioned already.
Awesome.
Yes.
And one thing that we've been hearing a lot from these stories is that a lot of the celebrity guests that come out are fans.
Yes.
That they are here as enthusiastic as everybody else, so it's lovely to hear these stories.
Celebrities are people too, guys.
Well, thank you so much for sharing your story. We're going to have to get you on a standalone episode one of these days.
I would love to be a guest on the show.
Well, thank you very much. Mel Wartenberg, where can people find you?
People can find me on Etsy, they can find me on Facebook, they can find me on Instagram, Google+, Tumblr. Type in Attic Raiders, and I will be the first thing to show up in Google search results.
Amazing. Thank you so much.
Thank you, and thank you.
We're here with another one of the amazing artists at Calgary Expo, making these, let's say interesting sculptures out of whatever you happen to find lying around, which is the way that I build a lot of things. So this is very near and dear to me. Mr. Todd Sloane.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for joining us. Thank you for bringing these out to show us all.
My pleasure.
Why don't you share a story?
Sure. This is my second expo here. Typically, my pieces are displayed in galleries, but I have such an awesome time at the expos, I decided to do it again this year. Great stories for me is meeting, of course, all the wonderful people that come by, full of compliments and excitement about over the pieces themselves. Great stories have been everybody trying to get rid of their stuff that's been collected in the garages and their basements, and they want to know if I want them. Typically, I get them from antique stores, but some people have some great stories. Actually, last year, a wonderful woman brought me a bag the next day. She said she had some cool old parts. And so she brought this bag of goodies to me the next day. So it was wonderful. It was full of gears and 1950s tubes and parts and things. And I did use a couple of them. So great response from the community. And every year it's been a great response at the Expo.
How long have you been doing this?
More seriously, probably in the last 10 years. I come from a design and background and advertising background, so I have an advertising agency here in Calgary. So this has always been, sci-fi has always been a passion. Ever since childhood, my brother and I would watch the Saturday afternoon science movie every Saturday and load up on candy. So it's always been part of what I do and what I've been. So I've come from the design side. Sculpting has really taken on the form in probably about the last 10 years. And get them from antique stores, a bit of scrapyard diving and those kinds of things to find the parts. And they're all vintage parts. They're all from late 1800s to 1950s is kind of where I'd like to keep them.
And where can people find your work?
They're usually in galleries, and on my website there's postings of where the galleries are being shown currently. There's one coming up in Los Angeles and in Miami.
Wonderful. And the website is sloaneconcepts.com, correct?
It is.
And we'll get that up in the liner notes.
Oh, that's awesome.
Thank you
Pleasure.
so much.
Thank you very much.
I'm here at the MovieBikes booth with episode 12 guest Calum Lykan and episode 28 guest Warren Cummins. Why don't you tell us what you guys are doing here?
Well, we set up our photo booth and we're taking pictures. Calum's dressed as Henry Jones Sr. from the third Indiana Jones movies, and we actually have the model of the bike here as a sidecar bike that people can come in and get their picture taken on, and we provide a glossy print for you, digital copy, whatever you'd like.
And have you got some fun convention stories to share with us?
Yeah, we've had some great opportunities today with some of the cosplayers that have come by. We've had a Stormtrooper, we've had the Pop crew, we've had a Star Trek crew, we've had some Harry Potter, Hogwarts students come by. It's been great, and so it's been a bit of a time warp with all this, which is awesome. And we're getting some great coverage through the Expo, and our Instagram account is great. We're down here in, I guess we're in booth 205 is our booth number here. So, yeah.
Hey, Calum, anything to add?
Well, I'm just loving the Expo because even though it's all about dressing up and it's all about this kind of suspension of disbelief, you know, everyone's kind of fulfilling their kind of anime or movie fantasies. I never believed that the first time, and I state this, the first time I would ever do cosplay, I would be portraying a 70-year-old man. Because when I thought I'd be doing this, I thought it'd be like, you know, Boba Fett or Han Solo or even Indy himself rather than Henry Jones Sr. But we've been wandering about, we've been having a great time, and like the energy of people when they see us, they're just jumping on it, just really asking for photos, loving it. And apparently there has been a few incidents of people going, is that Sean Connery? And then, of course, when I speak, it really baffles them even more because they're not expecting the Scottish accent on top of the outfit.
Well, wonderful. Thanks for joining us again, guys.
You betcha. Thank you very much.
We're here with one of the artists that has been at Calgary Expo for as long as I can remember coming to Calgary Expo. She is one of the foremost purveyors of pictures of men with their shirts off. Shonna White.
Hello. The balance in Artist Alley.
Yes. You have a favorite convention story to share?
I do. I have a lot of really wonderful experiences with some of the actors that come here. I used to try to get out when I could to go actually give copies of the art to the actors so that they know that it was there and not be surprised if people came by. But so I had everything from amazing reactions to a couple, well, no, one not great reaction. But some of the best ones were from like J. August Richards. It was amazing. I couldn't find a shirtless reference of him, so I put it out on Twitter. It's like, where do you find one of this guy? And he responded, and he sent me a shirtless picture of him. And then he found out that I was coming to the expo that he was going to be at, and he was really super excited. This man's so cool. And so I came over and I gave him a copy, and he's like, can I have more? Because I don't want to fight my girlfriend for this. So I brought him over a few more. And then there was like Dean Kane, who was really amazing and such a genuine man, who I went up. He's like, I totally want to do something for you. Come over here. Let's take a picture together. James Marsters was another great one. He's such a cool guy who requested one. One of my fans came running back over, was like, James Marsters wants a copy of it. So I took one over to him. And he was like, thank you so much. I wanted one of these pictures so I could show my wife I used to be hot. Which gives you that whole, you're like, how am I supposed to respond to that? I'm not entirely sure. Like, you still are, but
he's held together very well.
He's aged very well. So I've had some amazing reactions from the actors I've had a chance to get to.
Well, thank you so much for sharing. And
my pleasure.
Where can people find you?
I am pretty much always at one of these end caps at Calgary, so table 6100.
We're airing this after the expo ends, so where can people find you online?
I guess there's that. Well, everything that I have online you can find at any social media at Shonna the White, which is SHONNA the White. That's Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. I'm also on DeviantArt under Shonna White.
And we'll make sure to get all of those links into the line of notes.
Excellent.
Thanks, Shonna.
Thanks so much.
We're here with one more of the amazing artists that we've got at Calgary Expo, Mr. Kyle Burles from Kyohazard Illustration.
That's good.
I said everything right?
You did.
I'll make words good. You do mostly these posters that are based on various pop culture properties. You know, pictures of the backs of people's heads and things like that, which are always good for business. Why don't you tell us a favorite convention story?
Well, probably my best thing would be last year. I had drawn a poster. Although, if I was smart, I would have had that pre-lined up.
It's late in the day.
Yep.
Brains are getting fried.
I had done this Doctor Who poster because I was a big fan of Peter Capaldi. All my family's from Glasgow, as is he, so I was really excited. And, you know, didn't think I'd get a chance to meet him just because working in the artist alley, stuck behind my table, don't have time to leave for a couple hours to go in lineups. And he walked past my table. And I was quick on the draw and went, oh! I held up the poster and he comes over and he's like, oh, that's great, right? And, you know, he asked for the selfie himself. He's like, oh, we need a picture of this. And I gave him my print. He's like, oh, if you can spare one. And, you know, he was really happy because I turned around and said, you're my favorite doctor so far because all my family's from Glasgow. And he's like, well, where from? And I had to say, the Gorbals, which, if you know anything about Glasgow, is not the most high end of the town. Kind of slummy, I guess. a wee ghetto. But
more financially efficient of an area.
Yes. Exactly. But he knew what it was, and he thought that was hilarious. So,
well, thank you so much. We definitely want to show some of your work. Where can people find you?
I'm at Kyohazard.com, and pretty much anything. Twitter, Instagram. What are those things? Patreon, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, ArtStation, Tumblr, and DeviantArt are all under Kyohazard. Kyoahazard. Like Biohazard, but instead of BI, it's KY.
Yes.
Makes sense.
Thanks, Kyle.
Thanks much.
And we'll make sure to get all those links out and share this all over the place.
Rocking and rolling.
All right. Thanks. We're here in Artist Alley with Ann Crow of Ann Crow Creatives. Thank you for joining the show.
Thank you.
Why don't you share your favorite convention story?
My favorite convention story.
Oh, wait.
Oh.
So why don't you share your favorite convention story with us?
Okay, so Edmonton Expo a couple of years ago. I'm sitting at my table, and the guy beside me is like, "Is that a dog?" And there's this dog walking down the aisle with no apparent owner, and it's just the cutest little thing with tongue hanging almost down to the floor. If you're familiar with this dog, you might actually know who it is. So, we're like so worried about this dog. She's like, "Where's this dog from? Is he alone?" I don't know. It kind of looks like he's got a bodyguard. Where's this dog from? So we're so worried about the dog that we've got these couple of people looking at the stuff at the table, fingering through my mom's, some of my mom's stained glass and my prints and stuff like that. And, I say hi. I don't really look at them because I'm so focused on the dog. I look up again, and one of them is wearing a Stormtrooper shirt. It's like, I had friends on that ship. And then, he gave the kind of, "I'm tired of this" chuckle. And they continued on their way, and I'm still focused on this dog. Like 2 hours later, the girl in the booth beside me was like, "You realize Carrie Fisher was at your table, right?" And she showed me a picture of that guy and the elderly woman that was beside him that I said hi to, and I didn't even recognize that Carrie Fisher was at my table.
Because you were so focused on Gary Fisher.
Because I was so focused on Gary. Yes.
Well, I've met Gary,
Yeah?
and he is a wonderful boy.
Oh, he's so adorable.
Well, that's wonderful. Thank you so much for sharing. Where can people find your work?
Edit. www.ancro.ca. I'm also on Facebook, facebook.com/AncroCreatives.
We'll make sure to get those links out in the liner notes.
Awesome.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
I'm here with a longtime friend and a longtime Expo volunteer and just Expo goer.
Con fixer, as one of my friends says.
Let's go connoisseur. There we
go.
Blake Rothwell.
Hi.
You've got a favorite convention story to share.
I have.
And let's just
move
there
this
go.
up here. So this is a story of when Mike Mignola, the creator of Hellboy, and his family were very nice to me. So I was helping them, and I led them back to the green room. And I had been volunteering with the Expo for, I think 26 hours at that point, 4 of which I was asleep. So I was looking rather haggled. And Mike Mignola was also rather haggled. So he went to lay down for his nap. And Mike Mignola's lovely wife looked at me and said, "You look tired. There's room on the couch next to Mike. You should go lie down with him." And I had a very lovely, about 15-minute power nap with Mike, and then a fantastic conversation in private with him, which ended up, I have in my possession a ballpoint Hellboy sketch original that he did in a notebook that I had at the time. So it is always fantastic to realize that some creators are just so incredibly kind with their time and with being friendly with people. Like it is fantastic to see.
And Mike Mignola is one who I haven't met many of the creators myself. I'm usually with the celebrity guests over in photo ops, but I am a fan of Mike Mignola, and he was one of the few people that I actually went to get an autograph with. And I stood in line, and he was going, "Hellboy, thank you. Hellboy, thank you. Hellboy, thank you." And I put down my hardcover copy of The Amazing Screw-On Head and Other Stories, which is wonderful. Go look it up. And also watch the movie of it. The Amazing Screw-On Head is played by... I'm blanking on it. He's on Billions right now. We're going to have to edit this part out.
You're totally just going to get the comic book, put it up, and with the name.
Yeah, I'm talking about the movie.
Oh, with the movie, but yeah, I could not help you.
Okay, let's not talk about it then. Well,
but
I put down my copy of The Amazing Screw-On Head and Other Adventures, which is an amazingly weird story of a robot detective in Victorian England. And he lit right up when he saw it, and he said, "Oh, I haven't seen this one in ages. I co-wrote this with my daughter. We won an Eisner Award for it. And he opened up, he started drawing a giant serpent going through the buildings of London, and then brought his daughter out to autograph it along with him. And it was just a wonderful moment.
Actually, having met his daughter is also fantastic. All of that family is creative and fantastic. They were just, and the best part is they are not as famous. They are famous, but they are still people, and that is something you always have to remember. Like, everyone who goes to a convention, no matter how famous they are people. Treat them as kindly as you want to be treated.
Exactly.
All right.
Good message to end the show on.
Thank you.
Thank you. I hope you enjoyed this episode of The Story Not Forgotten. If you did, please remember to give us a like, share us around your social media, and head to iTunes or the Google Play Store to subscribe so that you don't miss any future shows. While you're there, we would love it if you could take a moment to give us a rating and a review. The more ratings we have, the higher we'll show up in the search results, allowing us to find more guests and share more stories with more people.